Recording.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me open up the chat and stuff. What did these do? Whoa. Oh, shit. It's okay. We're just waiting 1 second.
Also, Connor, if you want to make me a co-host, I can just accept people while you're sending it.
Okay, sure. I got you. There we go. All right. We'll give it till about 12:05, and then we'll get started and stuff. Actually, all right, we'll get it started. We'll get it started. So we're recording this, and this will go up on the CSS YouTube as well. Let me pop open my camera real quick. Whoa, a little bright.
Hi, all right.
All right. So get a little bit lower. Fix this up. All right. So hi everyone. I'm Connor, and I'll be doing a quick little presentation on unencrypted cookies and overly revealing source code, with a little bit of how that applies to man-in-the-middle attacks at the end. So, my cat. Sorry. Who am I and what am I up to? So I'm a fourth year CS major. I'm the president of Doc/Script. We just do cybersecurity from a CS perspective. And then I'm also the head lab admin at the PolySec lab, which is a research lab head by Dr. Hussein. pretty much it's just a nebulous term for cybersecurity in the CS department, because that's what Dr. Hussein does. And then I'm also in SFS, which is another great program that I'll talk about towards the end. But yeah, so I do lots of cybersecurity under Dr. Hussein. Also, currently, I'm working as a data analyst and software engineer at White Fox, which is a drone aerospace defense company. They do really cool stuff. But yeah, right now I just like work on analyzing data and making internal tools and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool stuff. And some stuff we'll talk about in this presentation. We're going to be talking about cookies and source code, which may be a little bit like if someone's never ever heard anything, it might be a little bit difficult to grasp at first. But cookies are just data that's sent to the user and stored on the user's machine, pretty much. So whenever you visit websites, like yeah, even Google Drive, they send you a lot of these things. These are cookies, and basically the website. This is all stored on my machine, so I can like clear these. Oh, that might have been a bad idea. But yeah, I can clear these, and then it'll kind of reset all of my stored preferences and data that's on my browser. Yeah, and so you see it signed me out.
Wait, so oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I guess that's a pretty good demonstration.
It's good demonstrations.
So yeah, for example, a lot of people they store your client like that. So to make sure that you're logged in and stuff, they'll give you a cookie that tells you whether or not you're logged in. And so then when you connect to Google Docs is like, hi, who are you? And then you send your cookie that tells them who you are. So yeah, cookies are just data and they store things. Ideally, you'd only use them to store things like visual preferences, like light or dark mode, or like localization and language. Oh, we got one more person. So yeah, we'd use them to store things like localization, visual things, because the danger with cookies is that if someone is listening on your network, they can pick up those cookies. And when they're unencrypted, then that can cause problems, like we'll see later. And source code is just kind of like a really big general term for all the programming and stuff. So like, oh, that does underline. Sorry about that. We'll go to this website. Like this is source code. And so if you're in the context of this, if your source code is too revealing, sometimes people can find things out about it. But yeah, it's in this context is also an amalgam of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So, and what's the scenario? Unfortunately, this used to be a real workshop where people could do things, but unfortunately, Dr. Hussein, who I work with, has just told me that that I am not allowed to let people do this because this is their live website. However, I have taken their website and I have obfuscated it a little bit. I've removed the logos and titles and all that random stuff. So, but also as a warning, like you probably could find this website. Don't try to do it. It's not really worth it. You don't really get anything out of it. You just get to go to the end. It's not really worth it. But yeah, so in my CS 2990 class for cybersecurity, back when I took it, like beginning of the year-ish, we got assigned these modules because they have stuff to do with programming and all that stuff. So so yeah, we got assigned these modules, and you have to go to the end. You have to answer the questions. You get them right, you get them wrong. Da, 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 da. And then you go on to the next one, right? And then eventually you answer all these questions. Oh, cool. But eventually you answer all these questions such that you get to the end. And then once you get to the end, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. This is a spoiler, so don't pay attention to this. But once you get to the end, you fill all this out, and then you get a little PDF. This used to have a PDF viewer, but I don't let you guys see it. It says the name. But yeah, you get a little PDF. And so let's reset our working environment real quick. Okay, So when you get to the end, you get these PDFs, right? And your professor's like, all right, I want you guys to complete all these modules and get all these PDFs and turn them in, right, as your proof that you've completed it. And so I was looking at it and I was like, well, I wonder if there's any way we can mess with this. Because he said, like, Dr. Hussein, when we were doing this, he was like, I think there's some sort of vulnerability. If you find it, it's extra credit, stuff like that, because it's cybersecurity class, right? And so, yeah, we're taking a look at it. And how it works, right? If we're thinking about how we could exploit this, like, what's the condition for checking answers? Like, if we look at this and we inspect the element and stuff, like, what does it check? It does this function called check answers, right? And then, like, if we look at this, because when you complete sections, you can like click in between them, right? So like, is there any way I could just like, and you see this like blocked out, right? My little cursor is blocked out, right? Like, is there any way I could just click to the end or something? Or and yeah, when you haven't completed any questions yet, or sorry, when you've started completing questions, it'll give you a little next section when you get all these right. Like, let's check this out. Yeah, like it'll let you go to next section. But if you get them wrong, it doesn't show up, right? So is there any way we could get that next section button to show up? Now we'll go to the next thing. Things we'll need. I used a editor or an extension called Cookie Editor because most browsers, the way they edit cookies is kind of meh. And I also used a little JavaScript editor. So that's what I used to check out their source code and play around with it and stuff like that. So yeah, I took a look at their source code is the next thing we do. We'll go here, we'll check this out, go over to application, and we'll check out their HTML. Then we'll go to js.do. All right, so I cannot compile this for you guys, but I will show you kind of what I used to figure this out. So we're gonna look for things like success, certificate, generate, completed, index, because we want to see like if we could mess. We want to see if we could mess with. I'll clear it real quick. We want to see if we can mess with these things, right? Like, because we saw this has check answers, and we like the next question, stuff like that. And then we also want to see if there's any code related to like generating the certificate or anything like completed, you know. So we'll check it out first. We'll go. What was that one called? One sec. We'll check out that guy. Check answers. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. All right. Oh yeah, it only shows up twice. So yeah, here's check answers. Now what about this? Let's see. Oh yeah, hey, check out this. So yeah, if you look up for stuff like check answers or other random stuff, you'll find some interesting stuff. Now this piece of code, this function gets called when you press that check answers button, right? Now, if we took this little block of, not that one, I lost it, this little one right here. If where we are, oh yeah. If we're at, basically this one just checks if we're at the end. Oh, no. Sorry about that. I haven't, I'm kind of doing this live, but yeah, basically this one is probably just going to check like if we've completed this and if the index that we're at is valid with however many sections we've completed. But I don't know, we could just try this because there's five little sections, and if we press check, it puts it how many sections you've completed. So if you have like 0, right, and you click check, it will just set it to 0. But if we just change it to like 5, it'll probably just send us to the end. So, oh right, sorry. This one it won't work perfectly in here. But yeah, it'll change the cookie to 5. because we're looking at that save cookie function. Basically, we can figure that out because the source code just is way too descriptive, like because you can just figure out that this button is called check answers, and then you can just go into check answers and then just mess with it really. And then there's another way I had to do it with source code. This is not the way to do it, by the way. The source code way is really complicated and overcomplicates it rather. Let's go back to here. I'll show you another way I found that was pretty interesting. Certificate. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, check this out. This is the code for generating the certificate. So it checks if your current index is at the length -1, which is if that's confusing for you guys, because if you don't know any random programming stuff, basically it's checking if it's at the end, because sometimes stuff starts from 0 and sometimes, well, length tells you like how long it is, but indexes start from 0, so this just matches it up right. But yeah, if this stuff matches, then it'll show you the certificate form, and this is all that stuff. And in order to get this stuff out, you have to copy all this stuff. I remember figuring this part out. You have to copy all this stuff, but then like delete some random stuff. But this method is not that good. It gets you right to the certificate page, but it's not that good. A better way is we saw earlier that it was calling like a save cookie function a bunch, and it was just passing an unencrypted number. Like it was just passing an index in. And so if we look at our cookies, we can see that where the result of that save cookie function is just this. Like it's not encrypted or anything. Like if we go to Google, let's check out some of their cookies. Like these cookies are not identifiable because they're probably encrypted in some way, right? They're probably hashed, but yeah. So normally you would encrypt them so people can't mess with them, right? But this website, they just put them plain text, like unencrypted. And so yeah, then I was like, oh, what if I just mess with the cookies with the cookie editor, right? And then you can just set it to 5. And then we're right at the end, right? Or you could set it to 3, right? And then get to the third one. Or fourth one, sorry, indexes. Or you could set it back to 0 and get back. And there's some other stuff you can play around too, like you could set it to -1, and I think that breaks it. So yeah, you could set it to -1 and yeah, break the website. It doesn't show you any modules now. But yeah, so that's all the stuff you can do to mess with that website, right? So theoretically, you could just, if you're assigned all these modules, all you have to do is just get a cookie editor, just put in 5, and then you're at the end, right? And that's way easier than completing the whole thing, right? So that's kind of how we exploited that one. Doing stuff with the source code like that, pretty much what you're doing is just a roundabout way of doing the thing with the cookies, because you're just messing with the functions that save the cookies, whereas you can just edit them directly. Oh yeah, and another thing, since they don't encrypt them, there's pretty much no way for them to verify like where the cookies are coming from. So we could just delete this real quick. Actually, we'll load this guy back up. I need the name. Okay, so yeah, we could just kill that guy. And then see, we don't have this cookie anymore, but we could like just put our own cookie in, and the website will take that too. So yeah, that's a pretty big security flaw, because if users have to like sign in and they're putting like their usernames and passwords and stuff like that, someone could hop on a program like Wireshark, and then they could start listening to all these packets, right? And then if you click on them and stuff like that, you can just figure them out. Or sorry, you can read this data. So that's a little bit bad. I kind of went over all this a little bit. Oh yeah. So yeah, this is where it checks. The way that I did this one was oh yeah, we can go check that out. Sure. It's probably cool.
1.
Sorry. I just switched to Edge and some of the developer keybinds are a little bit different. All right. Let's check out what this guy's called again. Check answers. The searching on this one. We'll just go directly to the line. All right. Yeah, we could just set this guy to true probably, and then that would probably work. And then yeah, if it's true, and sorry, if we click on this and it's true, it'll always execute this block of code, which will always increment how many sections you've completed. But we could also just set it to equal 5. So let's see. Oh yeah, nice. So yeah, that's the source code problems. And yeah, when it calls this d.save cookie, it's just very obvious what they're doing, I suppose. And so you can exploit that pretty easily. And also all of this is possible. All of this is possible because we're doing all this stuff on the client side. So all of this like checking the answers, all of this checking the progress, all of this checking the progress, this is all, the server takes that in from the user, right? Which is a little bit of a problem because the user can just feed in whatever data they want, right? So if you wanted to fix this, ideally you'd probably have some sort of like login, or you'd encrypt the cookies, because if you encrypted this string, then people couldn't just put in 5, right? They have to encrypt it on the server side. That would be a pretty good solution if you didn't want the users to have to log in and stuff like that. But I think this is probably a time when you'd use a login. But yeah, you just want to be doing everything on the server side. Same with like checking if they're completed and stuff like that, because this type of stuff, you just change a couple lines of code, right, and then you get right to the end. Usually what would probably be better is let's go back over here. What would probably be a little bit better is if you had like some sort of like, I don't know, this is just pseudo like server dot check completion or something, you know? So that way people can't, well, yeah, and then you'd have to edit all these guys too, so that way people couldn't. But yeah, you want to do all this stuff on like the server side, not the user side, because then the user can just put in whatever code they want and then still generate the certificate. And I guess it all boils down to like this exploit will always be possible as long as the certificate, as long as this stuff is here, people are always going to be able to mess with it, because you can always just take that out too, right? Like there's so many different ways you could sort of cheat on this module, unfortunately. So yeah, you could check and change the user's progress from the server, and then instead of letting the user generate the certificate on their browser, like generate it on the server and then email it to them. And honestly, yeah, I just don't think cookies should really be used for something like this. Like data that's a little bit too identifying, like passwords and stuff like that, and like progress and academic things, probably not good for cookies, because then you can just do stuff like this, especially if they're unencrypted. And then how does this type of stuff apply to, I mean, this is the real world, but what are other ways this applies, I guess? This is kind of where we start to get into man-in-the-middle attacks a little bit, because right here, this is pretty harmless, right? Like you're just getting to the end, maybe saving yourself like 5 minutes of time, something. It's not a big deal, right? But if this site had profiles and people put in like usernames and passwords and personal data and stuff like that, and they were storing like session cookies, like that stuff that I showed on Google, like if they're storing these things in a way that if someone is listening to this person's network, they could just take their session ID and then plop it right in their cookies by adding it, and then they would be logged in as this person. So that's kind of the uh, extrapolation of the problems that this website has. And another interesting topic is Firesheep. Now, Firesheep was an extension for Firefox, and it took this idea of like someone is on the same network as someone else, and they're listening, and they just take their session ID and log in as this person. It takes that idea and then it automates it. It was like Firesheep is a really, really crazy thing, and this type of stuff isn't really available, and Firesheep doesn't work anymore. But this is a pretty bad example of what happens when HTTP traffic is unencrypted and sending stuff that's important, I suppose. Because Firesheep is crazy. You just click a button, and then it would capture all the packets, and then it would identify like accounts, and then it would even like show up with their profile pictures and stuff like that. It was a very crazy thing. It took something that was like a multi-tool step and turned all of that into like a browser extension. So so yeah, Firesheep was pretty crazy. But this type of stuff is a little less possible now because most websites are encrypted with HTTPS. And so that basically kind of like the data should theoretically only be able to be viewed by this person and the web server. Like if someone sniffs a packet that's encrypted, then theoretically the attacker should just get a bunch of gobbledygook and it's not useful. But there are more advanced ways around this type of stuff. And now, as we get towards the end, what should you guys do if you're a CS major wanting to do cybersecurity? Because there's a lot of interesting stuff at Cal Poly, but I don't know. When I was learning computer science, it was like if you want to do cybersecurity here, a lot of it is very CIS focused. But if you are looking to do cybersecurity and you are a CS major, which I think is very interesting because it gives you a little bit of a lower level of understanding. Not like lower as in like worse, but like a more theoretical understanding of like why things work rather than just how to do things. But yeah, I definitely recommend first and foremost, get ready for the SFS applications. I'll pop the link up in the chat real quick for you guys to check out. Here's SFS. You can check out everything. I'd recommend just bookmarking it. The application process starts, mid-March-ish. I'd probably apply a little early. This is going to be for fall, I'm pretty sure. So it's a little bit of a long process, but I very much recommend it because it's really crazy. You get like full tuition paid plus undergrads get 23 grand a year and graduate students get like 26, 27. So in terms of stipend, plus tuition, plus you get money for certificates like cybersecurity certificates too. I think you get textbook money too. Yeah, it's scholarship for service is awesome. But the catch with it is that you have to go work at a federal, local, state, or tribal government or a federally funded research and development center like JPL or something like that. You have to go work for the government basically for however long you received the stipend. So that's kind of the short rundown of SFS. I definitely recommend getting started on that first. And these are kind of things that you can do to make your chances of getting in a little bit better. So I'd first recommend like this is the big thing is make sure you're taking these classes because a lot of these classes will help you a lot. Specifically, Intro to Cybersecurity and Forensics, and this curriculum sheet isn't upgraded yet, but there is a 4990 cybersecurity class. I'm not sure if it's in the spring or I took it in the summer. But yeah, those ones, as well as networks and stuff like computer architecture is probably pretty useful. Assembly programming is another good one. But yeah, focus on stuff like networks, Unix. It's this one. This one's really important too. So yeah, just focus on stuff that's on the poli-sec undergrad path. And then on top of that, just look specifically for Dr. Hussein's class because he runs the poli-sec lab and SFS and all that stuff. So being familiar with him and being in that environment is a good way to get in. Also, other professors to look out for are Amamra and Gershman. Gershman teaches a lot of networks classes and the Linux classes too. He's CS2600 and CS3800. Amamra does some stuff too. I'm not too familiar with him. I took one of his classes, but I know he's in the field, I'd say. Another thing, come check out .script. I'll pop my Discord invite and I'll show it up on the screen too, I suppose. So yeah, come check out us because we'll be doing a bunch of stuff that's a little bit more interactive than this. We'll be doing stuff called seed labs. I'll pop this up in case there's recording. Here's the link for anyone watching the recording. Sorry about that, guys. All right. But yeah, just come hang out because we'll go over a lot of stuff like seed labs and other stuff that's good to get on your resume, as well as just having fun, I guess. We'll be starting up a project soon where we'll be building a secure messaging app using the Java crypto library, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we just do a lot of stuff under the realm of poli-sec because we're also sponsored by Dr. Hussein. And then when you're signing up for SFS, you'll probably have to give your resume like 20 times. I just recommend getting at least something that shows you have some interest. So whether that's like taking CS2990, 4990 with Dr. Hussein, personal projects. These ones I listed below, these are like, these are seed labs, and we'll probably go over them in the club too, which is going to be fun. Also having a portfolio is a pretty good thing. So like Portfolium is a pretty good service. Mostly just, well, employers do look at it, but Dr. Hussein specifically, he'll be like super proud of you if you have a Portfolium with actual reports in it and stuff like that. But yeah, this will be a big topic in .script because we're under that umbrella. So so yeah, I finished a little bit early. I have a meeting at 1. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about like SFS or just doing cybersecurity? Also, there's Swift and Fast, which are pretty good, but they're a little bit more focused on CIS. But I mean, I'm assuming you guys are all CS students and whoever's watching CS. But yeah, those are good clubs too. So yeah, does anyone have any questions or anything? And sorry this wasn't so interactive. I planned for this to be walking through this with you guys a little bit, but I had to modify it like at the last minute and censor everything and kind of change the path so that way I wouldn't give away a little bit too much info. Drink some water real quick. If anyone has anything to say, otherwise I'll hang out here for another like 4 or 5 minutes and then I'll shut off the recording and then I'll get out. Oh, .script. Oh, I mean, there's no requirements, man. You just have to, you know, there's no requirements. It's just for anyone to hang out. It's a pretty informal club. Like we don't do too much serious stuff. We're just a bunch of people. We like cybersecurity, and most of us are CS majors. Not all, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's really informal. We just kind of hang out. Yeah, there's really no like exception or sorry, like what's the word, like interview or anything. 2990s. Oh, one sec. I'll finish talking to Juan. But yeah, anyone can join. It's really just if you want to talk about cybersecurity, it's cool. Um, and then Zane said, if the professor for CS 2990L isn't Hussein, there are a bunch of CS 2990 classes. Like I know there's a Python one. There's probably some big data ones. Basically, CS 2990 is just like special topics. So you'd have to go on Bronco Direct and look specifically for the. You'd have to look specifically at the class and see the professor and the topic. But if you don't get Hussein, but you still get a cybersecurity class somehow, I'm not sure if there are any other professors teaching it. But yeah, I mean, it would be a good idea to just take them in general. But I would recommend getting in touch with Hussein. And then, how different is cybersecurity in CS from CIS? Not to sound weird or anything, but in CS, I would say getting a computer science degree it's a little bit theoretical. Like our knowledge isn't just like programming and stuff like that. Like we actually have to understand, or you don't have to. I mean, you could probably take other classes, but if you follow the polysec curriculum, you'll have a pretty good understanding of like how networks actually work and like how hardware in the computer works and how stuff works at a really low level, like how like because in cybersecurity sometimes you have to do stuff called reverse engineering, and that takes understanding assembly code, and assembly code is like basically one step above binary. It's like really impossible to read. Like I'll see if I can find you a block of it on Google Images or something. Like let's see a good block. I mean, yeah, it looks like stuff like this. And if you take CIS, you're probably not gonna learn stuff like this. And in like your networking class or networks class, they're not going to be as in depth. It's just CS is a little bit more in depth than CIS, because CIS will teach you a lot of things that are really useful for like system administration, but not so much if you want to like actually understand like hardware and software at a really low level. And is it possible to learn the basics of cybersecurity? And oh yeah, totally. Like yeah, it's totally possible to learn the basics. Yeah, that's really the whole point. Like we just want to help people learn and talk about stuff. It's pretty informal. Just want to be a good resource for people who want to learn cybersecurity, really. And yeah, assembly. The assembly class is cool. It's not bad. It's not bad. But yeah, membership fee? No, I mean, there's no reason. I spend like $10 a month on like Discord or something, so I can get I don't know, it's something dumb. So I can get like emotes for the Discord server, dude. um, but yeah, no, there's no membership fee or anything. I mean, if we wanted to make like T-shirts or something, I mean, as long as we're off campus, there's pretty much no need for like an extensive like it doesn't take very much effort to run the club. Well, outside of participating in it. But in terms of administration, it's pretty much just I hang out on Discord and set up some Zoom meetings. And no, honestly, I just recommend just joining the Discord and hanging out. There's not that many people now. We're probably like 20 or 30 or so, and so I've just been manually adding people as members. So yeah, if I see you like in the CSS Discord and stuff, I assume you just came from the CSS Discord, and I just put you in the meeting and stuff like that. Or sorry, put you in as a member. So let's check it out here. If you joined, oh yeah, a couple people joined. I see you guys. Let me I'll make you guys members real quick because the permissions are kind of restrictive. Sorry. We'll have a meeting at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. today. You probably don't really have to join. I mean, it's just gonna be me and some other people from SFS, like my friend Joshua, who's in master's program. We'll just be talking about like who we are, what's up, and what we do. Oh, someone tried to join. Sorry, I'll let this person join, and then I'll give them a quick little blurb. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, I'll hang around for a couple more minutes. Just gonna drink some water real quick. But yeah, definitely recommend hanging out in ./script because like it's a pretty good way to get involved in polysec related stuff if you don't have the ability to take cybersecurity classes. Yeah, I'd say taking cybersecurity classes is probably the best thing you can do, and like doing stuff we do in the club is like a close second in terms of like getting into SFS because I can help you guys like get out projects and figure out what to do and stuff like that. Yeah, and the meeting at 1 p.m. today, it'll also be pretty similar to today. Like it'll just be introducing and talking about like what you should do if you want to get an SFS and stuff like that. Thank you. Yeah, sorry guys. This is a little bit unfortunate because we're not allowed to screw with their website, so I had to censor it a little bit. And it doesn't work particularly good. Sorry, it doesn't work particularly good if you compile the code on your own. No problem, no problem. And don't worry, if you try this on your Pearson, it doesn't work. Like if you guys have Pearson online homework, it doesn't work. Trust me. Don't even try. I know, right? When I was in this class and I figured this out, I like one of the first things I did, I was in Math 2250. Oh, that's also another good class to take. Well, okay, that's a bit of a show. Not quite. It's good to take if you like math, but the new CS 3010 numerical methods includes a lot of it. But yeah, take math. Yeah, the linear algebra class with Dr. Rock. I like Dr. Rock. He's cool. Um, but yeah, you don't have to take Math 2250 anymore. Actually, you guys probably do, unless you're like a first year. But if you're not a first year, then you probably still have to take 2250. But they just changed the curriculum, so CS 3010 now includes like linear algebra, which is pretty cool. If you take that class, definitely recommend him Amra. He's a cool guy when I had him. But yeah, I hope to see you guys in the Discord. You really don't have to come to the meeting. You could come if you want to have some fun. We'll probably just be chatting and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, and hopefully we have some like fun meetings and stuff. Because yeah, let me stop recording real quick. Oh shit, I stopped screen sharing.